So moving on to the research behind this, this is what I had to do. I had a research question. This question is, what is the effect of implementing the Think Aloud strategy on comprehension? And the things that led to this question, the purpose of the study, we started thinking about how does the Think Aloud strategy benefit a reader? Is this a strategy that provides intervention for struggling readers? Does this strategy aid in comprehension for all readers? And what effects, gains or losses, will this strategy have on my classroom? So I started looking at research that has already been proven for this, and I'm just going to summarize kind of what I found here. There are several different studies ranging from first grade all the way through college, and all of the studies have proven how beneficial the Think Aloud strategy is and how it should be incorporated into our classroom. I want to focus on this one for just a second. You can see the different comments, but embedding this metacognitive strategy within instruction enables readers to have control over their own learning process. Therefore, they become more successful readers by using appropriate strategies when necessary. Another study in person found that one of the most effective ways for students to learn these higher order thinking skills is through teachers' proficient modeling, often done in a Think Aloud. Vaca said that knowledge and thinking go hand in hand. To develop deep conceptual knowledge in a discipline, one needs to use the habits of thinking that are valued and used. And then lastly, research says that teaching metacognitive strategies and vocabulary significantly affects reading comprehension. Those are just a few of the professional studies that I looked at and research things that I found. So then I had to test it in my own classroom. So for the last 3 weeks, I have been working with 2 groups. One group I called Group A, Group B. These groups were in my homeroom. They were of like abilities. So I met with the 2 groups during small group time. Both groups received the same reading instruction. However, Group A only received my direct instruction, intervention support, but I did not model my thinking with them when we would read a text. Small Group B received the same instruction as Group A. However, they were introduced to the Think Aloud strategy multiple times. I scaffolded it like the lady in the video talked about where I modeled it. Then I relinquished it to them, and we continued for 3 weeks. I would do cold reads at the end of the week, and then we would look at the average at the very end to see how their comprehension was different than before. So, what my graph here shows, I have Group A. I had a pre-read, cold read test at the beginning of the 3 weeks, and you can see their scores were between 40 and 50. The dark blue line indicates vocabulary questions. The light blue represents comprehension. I couldn't get that to disappear, so it's just there. This is Group B. Their scores, as you can see at the beginning, were very similar, and then this was the post. Although both groups grew, this one definitely had more gains than the one that did not have the Think Aloud strategy. And the only thing that I did before the end of, before giving the post assessment with this group, I just reminded them of how we've thought about what we're thinking while we're reading, stopping, pausing. I just reminded them of it, but I did not actually use it with them. So they did have much better scores. All were proficient, where these were still just those that weren't, they were barely proficient. So when we think about the Think Aloud strategy, when can we use it, where can we use it, how can we use it? Here's just some ideas. During read alouds, we all do read alouds with our mentor sentence of the week. We do it in different times of the day, we do read alouds. You can use these before and during reading a text in all content areas. We all teach social studies, some are math. I think math, could you see the benefit of using Think Alouds in math? Okay. Whole group, small group, and individually. Find important places to stop and model unfamiliar vocabulary words, anything like that. And then the thing that I've found most valuable is to plan ahead. You can't plan every time you want to think aloud to your students, but the most you can plan it and write it down and have it there, it's more intentional. So I want to finish up and I want to give you a 3-minute pause. And I want you to reflect on the things that I've said. How could this help your readers of all levels? And how could you implement this into your classroom? Probably to some degree you already are, but maybe in a different way or more consistently. So just jot down a couple of thoughts that you've had. Anybody care to share out things that you mentioned that you could use with this in the classroom a little more effectively?
Well, I said something I learned. I really like how she scaffolded. I think sometimes I did a lot of the thinking aloud, but not really having the students do it. So something I said about how to implement it was, you know, I see myself like thinking aloud a lot of the problems, but actually having the students partner up and think out the problems aloud before they actually start working it out.
And that's in math you're thinking?
Yeah, in math. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
And we have this one thing that we do where the kids have to find the error, and a lot of times I'll do the Think Aloud with them at the same time, but I don't, like Rachel said, pair them up and let them do it without me saying anything. So that's something that we could add into what we're already doing.
And I was thinking about in reading, using Think Alouds just on the questions, getting them to, you know, really wrap their heads around what that question is asking before they ever even get to text. Because sometimes that's where they break down. They're not really totally understanding the question.
I think this is a great scaffolding for productive struggle in any content. They just have to, sometimes it just makes more sense when we say it out loud.
Okay, well that's all I have. If you're interested, those are my references for research that I have done. I appreciate your time, and I hope it's something you can use in your classroom.
Thank you.